Mark, good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
As ever, we'll start with your reflections a few days on from the win over Sheffield.
Yeah, listen, really happy that we got the win. I thought Sheffield really give it to us, especially in that first half, and we had to really work for it. Obviously got a couple of late tries that give us a bit of breathing space. Then I thought in that second half we stepped up the intensity a little. So a few areas we can fix up and work on, but overall happy that we got a win in what is a difficult place to go.
When you talk about things you can fix up on, is there the main things you've been working on this week?
There's a few things internally that we felt we could be a little bit sharper on, if I'm honest with you. As I say, you've got to give credit to Sheffield. I thought, to say they had to rejig the team, I thought they really showed up and, brought it to us. So, a few things that we felt we could do better, internally. So we'll look at them. Obviously, we know we need to be better on Sunday in them areas. So, that's really what we've been chasing. But at this stage of the year too, it's just making sure everybody's recovered as well as can be, and then get a good session in tomorrow, and then get some final prep in for Bradford on Sunday.
What are those main areas of improvement, do you think?
Just a few areas defensively that we felt we could be a little bit sharper. Ball in hand, I thought we served up some really nice stuff. Obviously, just a few things that we'll look at, as I say, internally that we don't really want to share, that we just feel we need to be a little bit sharper on.
10 games unbeaten, and I know you'll sit and say, look, it's one game at a time, but in terms of just momentum and how you look back on this run, I mean, you must be absolutely delighted.
I don't. It's a good question, and it's one that I'm getting asked quite often, if I'm honest with you. And it's probably something people outside our bubble see more than us. We're just living in the moment. It is literally just week by week, and I know it's really a boring answer for you, but it is. I don't think you can afford to rest on your laurels as such. It's a case of every week's a different challenge. We're proud that we've gone 10 games, but it means nothing ultimately if we don't achieve his goals, does it? So, as I say, it's probably something more for headlines in the press than anything else. We're just focusing on, getting the standards where they need to be to come up against a difficult Bradford team on Sunday.
People will talk about, I bet the morale's really high, which I'm sure it is, but in a way it adds to that need, that desire to keep it going, because once you're on that kind of run, you just want to keep going, don't you?
Oh, yeah, winning and losing are habitual, aren't they? You want to swing it in your favour as much as you can, but we're also not naive enough to know there's going to be speed bumps along the way. And as you say, you've just got to stay on that train while you can. So we understand what's been getting us them results, and we've got to keep working hard to get them, because each week it'll get harder and harder, especially as we're coming into the the business end of the season. So, as I say, it makes a good headline, doesn't it? For us, we're just going on for Bradford really, and I'll be honest with you, not really one of these that is too bothered about what's happened in the past. I'd rather look forward and what's to come.
Well, looking forward then, team news wise, how's Jesse?
Yeah, Jesse will be back in the 21. As I said, he could have probably played last week. We just needed to let his thumb settle down. He got a bit of a nasty bruise on it, and as soon as he's got movement back in that, there's no issues there whatsoever.
I'd say Hingano coming off, is he going to be okay for the weekend?
Yeah, he just got a bit of an adverse reaction to the 4G. I think it just tightened up a muscle, so I suppose we had that luxury of being able to bring him off. So we're just a bit of precaution. He's been managing a bit of a tendonitis injury, so we're just trying to be smart with him where we can. But he'll be fine for Sunday.
Good is it having Will back out on the grass?
Yeah, Will's been back in full training now. As I say, he's just got to earn his shirt and wait for an opportunity. And it's not a bad position to be in, is it? But he's had a pretty rough run in terms of his injury look. So hopefully he can string a few weeks together training and cause me a few headaches selection-wise.
I was going to say, especially, and I know you don't want to talk about the run as such, but when you are in that winning run, is it harder to change a team?
Yes and no. I think it tends to do your job for you. Obviously, there's naturally, even when you get a win, there's players that's going to have played well and others that probably aren't too happy with what they've served up. And Sometimes you've got to go off the opposition too, what team you feel is going to suit whatever opposition it is you're playing. So there's a load of different ingredients that go into team selection. But one thing I do know is that we'll need the whole squad, and the squad's being classed, to be fair. It's not just the main players as such that's been playing week in, week out, but the squad players that's been doing the hard work in training to help support. The team that's going out there has been real commendable how they've gone about the business. So we're lucky that we've got a real tight-knit group, and we've just got to carry on demanding more from one another, because ultimately, from the league point of view, we've won nothing yet, and we want to be in that mix. So we're under no illusions. We're playing a team on Sunday that's going to be saying exactly the same thing, and we've had 2 close games against them already this year, so we're expecting another one on Sunday.
Just lastly on team news, any other fresh concerns after last time out?
No, as I say, we're just you standard bumps and bruises as you'd expect. As I say, I thought Sheffield really give it to us. So we had a few sore bodies on Tuesday, but just normal bumps and bruises from a game of rugby league, really.
Good stuff. Looking at Bradford, like you say, two games already.
Yeah.
Wins for your side already.
Yeah.
I probably already can preempt your answer, but how much do you look back at those performances into them and even take confidence from them going into the weekend?
Yeah, obviously you can. There's a few lessons that you can look back on, but ultimately it's a brand new week, isn't it? Bradford have looked at where they can improve and a few areas that they feel they can exploit on us, and vice versa. So there's a bit of that. Bradford's had to rotate the team slightly as well, hasn't they? So they'll be in a similar boat to us, that there might be 1 or 2 new faces in the team. So we're just expecting a real tough physical affair. As I say, it's 2 really evenly matched teams, both equal on points, so there's that added incentive to it. So as I say every week now, may the best team win, and it should be a cracking game.
Does it feel you're still in touching distance of Toulouse, and obviously, like you say, level on points, bit cliche to say, must win?
Well, every game's a must win. In terms of us, we don't want to lose any game, and Bradford will be the same, but I think that top 4 or 5 is really tight. Obviously, Oldham's managed to go under the radar a little bit, but they're a quality team, as we found out at the start of the year. And Toulouse are 2 points in front. Obviously, us and Bradford 2 behind them, and Oldham just 2 behind us. So there'll be a load of twists and turns, but you'd have to argue anyone in that top 6 has still got eyes on being at the top. And ultimately, Toulouse are setting the tone, because they're league leaders, and we're all chasing them.
Crowd here as well, and we mentioned the 2 previous games with Bradford. I mean, the crowd will be up for it, and it feels like there's been a bit of a rivalry this season, but a good rivalry and something that the players can thrive upon.
Yeah, listen, I thought the atmosphere last time we played here in that semi-final were absolutely quality. As you said, there's an healthy respect between the 2 teams. And I think there's an healthy respect between the 2 sets of fans as well, both passionate supporters. And hopefully both sets of fans will get out in numbers and support, the teams. As I say, I love the York fans. I love it when they're backing us and get behind us, and you can hear the drums going and whatnot. I think it's a cracking atmosphere, and Bradford are a very well supported team too. So it should be a cracking atmosphere, and we've just got to make sure we nail the performance on the field.
Double header with the Valkyrie, of course. I know we've spoken before. You've talked about like the community feel at the club. It's something you love about the club. It's days like what Sunday are going to be that remind you about not just the rugby community in York, but just the sporting community in York. It'll be a great day all round.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and hopefully it'll be a massive crowd for the Valks as well. They've won the Women's Super League for the last 3 years, I think it is now. So, I know Lindsay's been working really hard to keep that going. So, we're just really proud of the York community, and we want to give them 2 teams from a rugby point of view anyhow that they can be proud of.
Top stuff. Good luck for it. Cheers, Mark.
Yeah, just a quick one, Mark. In terms of yourself, Bulls and Toulouse, is that something you're aware of, the nip and almost tuck between the 3 sides, or is it a case of taking it each game as it comes?
Well, bit of both, each game as it comes, but you know, I think you can throw Oldham into that mix as well, if I'm honest with you. You know, it's real tight at the top, and what have we got? 9 games left, is it, in the regular season? So ultimately 18 points to play for. So there's still a lot of peaks and troughs to come, shall we say. So yeah, you are aware of it, but at the same time you just live in the moment and you worry about what's coming, you know, in the here and now. And ultimately we've got a very tough game against Bradford on Sunday. As I say, 2 equally matched teams, and it's one we're looking forward to.
If you are to finish in the top 2 or first, how much do you feel this game will have an impact on that?
Well, obviously it'd give you a bit of a cushion in that sense, but it's pointless if you win this and then went on to lose your next 8. So you've got to put a bit of context in there too. You know, I'm not trying to shy away from the fact that it's a big game in the sense that one team's going to go 2 points in front of the other, but you've also got to have a bit of objectivity about yourself that you know, after this game there's going to be 8 more games, so you've just got to, as I say, deal with the here and now, which is obviously putting in a performance against Bradford on Sunday, and once you've done that, reevaluating and moving on to your next game, and you know, that's what we'll be doing.
Only from me, where do you feel Bradford can hurt you the most?
Quite a few areas. You know, they obviously exploited us on a couple of things last time out. You know, we're very aware of their threats. You know, they'll be aware of our threats. So it's just important that you nail the performance on the Sunday. So yeah, as I say, we know it's going to be a pretty evenly contested game, and it's one that we're relishing and looking forward to.
The fact that you wasn't all smiles from that 36-10 win, does that kind of show the high standards that are being set by yourself to the squad? I
think it's the squad that set the standard as well. I mean, obviously as head coach, you know, you demand a certain standard, and I'd like to think that I've got high standards in terms of my own performance and the team's, but as I say, we've got a really good group that demand more from themselves, and we're really proud that we got the win. You know, Sheffield's a difficult place to go. You know, it's got a different sort of feel to the stadium. You know, obviously they've still got some quality players in the ranks, as you'd expect from a team that's normally around the top of the championship. But we knew that we wanted more from each other, so it's good that everyone wants that, and ultimately if you want to do anything in this league this year, we're going to have to nail that. So that's why you know, we're probably alluding to that after the game.
Is that fundamentally what's driving York right now, the fact that you have this depth and wealth of quality in your squad, and the players know that if they're not performing, then you can make that change and give someone else a chance?
Yeah, I think you've got to enjoy that pressure to perform, or whatever you want to call it, if I'm honest with you, Mick. I think any team around the top, you know, you could take Toulouse, us, yourselves, Oldham, or some of the teams below, they've got strength and depth, haven't they, in positions, and if you get a bit of luck with injuries as well, and you get a fully fit squad, then there is naturally going to be that competition for spots, and I think if you don't thrive off that, and if it doesn't drive yourself individually and your team to that next level, then you're probably in the wrong business, aren't you? So we enjoy it as a coach. You enjoy having to be on your money every week. You know, obviously coming up against a very well coached Bradford team this week, and as I say, each week offers a different challenge, and you know, we know that we've got to nail our role as coaches and ultimately give the players the right information, and then likewise the players know that they need to take that information and make sure they nail their own performances as well.
How important is it to you that when you look at the York Knights squad and you look at players like Paul McShane, a three-time Grand Final winner, you look at Ben Jones-Bishop, who's won the Grand Final World Cup challenges and also Challenge Cups. Yeah. Jordan Thompson won 2 Challenge Cup finals with Hull, that you have, you know, natural winners in that team, and you know, you kind of look a little bit at Toulouse, at Bradford and Oldham, and they might just have one, maybe two, whereas, you've got multiple players who've been there on the big occasions and had that success.
Yeah, obviously it's nice to have players in your squad that know how to win, but I'd say about them players you've just mentioned, they've all got one thing in common, and that's that they're never happy and they want more. I think any team around the top's got some players in that's tasted success, and none of them are probably resting on the laurels and looking back on that success. Obviously, they can take confidence that they've put themselves in them situations before and come out on the right side, but they're probably not naive enough to think that it's just going to happen for them, and they know what got on them performances in the first place. So yeah, it's nice in terms of an experience point of view, but I'll pick Paul McShane out as an easy example. He's as hungry as ever to improve, and that's daily and weekly, and he just wants to get better. And that's probably what's given him the success in the past. So it's nice to have, but at the same time, you've still got to go out there and perform, haven't you?
From the previous two meetings with Bradford what to expect.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guessing it goes hand in hand, Mark, that the players, both mentally and physically, they know what is coming at 3 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, listen, we know it's going to be one of the toughest games of the year, as the other two results have shown, and I'm sure Bradford will be thinking exactly the same. So, as the league table suggests, you've got two teams pretty evenly matched, and it's about who can nail that 80 minutes the best. Obviously, we've been fortunate that we've come out on right side twice this year, but we're not ignorant enough to think that that's going to happen again, and we know what got us them wins last time out, and we know we're going to have to go above and beyond that on Sunday if we want to get another win.
What are your expectations? What's the message to your squad for Sunday?
Well, obviously we need to fix up a few areas from last time out. We need to be aware of certain threats that Bradford pose. Different sort of challenge, different sort of team, and ultimately we've just got to make sure that we're happy with the brand of rugby that we bring out and play. So I'm expecting a very physical encounter. Bradford's got some quality players throughout the ranks. I'm sure it'll be a real physical encounter, as it always is versus Bradford. It should be a cracking atmosphere. Hopefully we can get a really good crowd through the doors and put on a good spectacle for the championship and promote Championship Rugby League.
Do you feel, because effectively, I know it's State of Origin in a couple of hours' time, the decider, but this is like third game of the three, and you're currently leading 2-0. Does that give you any sort of like psychological advantage going into Sunday?
I don't know. You can look at it two ways, can't you? If I were on the other foot, I'd also be using that, to spur my team on, as I'm sure Brian is. Obviously, from our point of view, we know that we've been there and done it before, but ultimately, it's a brand new game, and as I say, you can look for patterns, or you can try look for correlation, whatever it is, but ultimately you just got to go out there and nail 80 minutes. It's a game of rugby league, and it'll be tight as always, and we're just wanting to be happy with the performance that we've served up, and as I've said all along, may the best team win on Sunday. You've mentioned
it puts the championship in the shop window, and with the greatest respect to Sheffield on Sunday, 700 fans at Olympic Legacy Park, at times it did kind of resemble being in a library. What you're going to experience on Sunday at the LNER is it's going to be like a volcano.
Yeah, as I say, we're a different sort of atmosphere, and it's probably one that it brings a challenge in itself, doesn't it? But expecting a completely different sort of atmosphere come Sunday. I think Bradford fans always travel well. One of the best supported clubs in the Championship, and our fans will be right behind us. And I thought the atmosphere last time we were at the LNER were class, and I'm sure it'll be a notch up on that. So I think it'll be a little bit louder than last week, put it that way.
I think it's just over a year mark since you were appointed at York.
Right.
When York were in those relegation, places.
Yeah.
When you look at, your time at the club, you've been behind that remarkable run that saw York get out of the relegation spots, finish fourth, reach the playoff semi-finals, and now you're on this amazing, unbeaten 10-game run. How much of that? I know you've praised the squad and Clint giving you the tools, to sign players like Scott Galliano and Toa Matarazzo. But how much of that is actually down to you, do you feel?
Probably not a lot, mate. It's down to the players on the field, isn't it? As I say, I'm lucky that not only have we got a class playing squad led really well by his captain Liam Harris, but everyone wants to improve. There's some quality people here. You've got Will Lee on the staff. You've got Chris Foreman in there now, who's adding a lot of value. We've got Andreas and Sophie, Liam, Haxby, the kit man. Just loads of good quality people. But the main people in any team are obviously the players. It's them that go out and do battle every week. And my job's obviously to try galvanise them where it's needed, but ultimately all the plaudits and credit should go on them.
And just finally, Mark, I've asked Brian Noble, Sylvanoulis this question, but are you in a similar sort of state of flux where you're having to offer players Super League and Championship contracts for next year?
Luckily I don't really have to get hands on with that. If I'm honest with you, Mick. Now, obviously, I did a Wakefield in my other job, but I think Clint does a really good job in managing that side of things. I know that there's a lot of talk at the moment in terms of the league structures for next year and things like that. But one thing Clint's been really great with is he's not really put any of that onto me. He's just let me carry on with coaching the squad. I'm sure there's conversations behind the scenes with certain players and whatnot, but I don't even have to stress about that. All I have to worry about is coaching the squad. And there's rumours about if it goes 14 and who's going to be there, but ultimately that's irrelevant. All I can do is focus on the here and now. And one thing I've learned in sport is just take it as it comes, and don't get too ahead of yourself. Just stay in the moment. So all I'm doing is coaching the team each week, and until I get told different, whether that's we're staying how we are or things are changing, as you've just alluded to there, then we'll worry about what that looks like and go from there.
We're both rugby league people, Mark.
Yeah.
We've seen the pros and cons for expanding to 14. What's your sort of take on it all? Should Super League go to 14? Yeah,
there's. Do you know what, mate? There's some really valid points on both arguments of it. I think I read some comments off Matty Pete about the increased quotas and rewarding teams that probably don't have as productive academies, and I fully agree with him on that. But I think it should be 14. I'm not a massive fan of these loot fixtures, if I'm honest with you. I saw an article by Jamie Peacock where he was saying about the quality saturation, and I know that's probably why them quota spots are coming in to kind of negate that fact over the short term. I think long term for me, clubs should. I think we put too many bottlenecks in place to let players flourish. I think it should be 14 teams. I think long term, it should be you play each other home and away, and if you want a magic round, great. I think you should. There's cases in Super League this year where teams have played a team 3 times and not played another team once, which I just don't get. But I think long term you should have a team, and then they should be allowed to build an academy. I think academies should play more regular than, I think it's 12 games a year or whatever. I think every team should be allowed a reserve team. And then I think, for example, we're playing Bradford on Sunday, that we have a Valks game and then we have a reserve game, or we have a reserve game after the main game, or however you see it. I just think there's too many bottlenecks in place at the moment, that limits player development. So there's a load of different ingredients that go into your answer, but in short, yes, I think it should be 14 teams, but I think I do agree with that. The increased players quota spots will help negate the dip in quality that had happened. But longer term, you need to make sure that there's more player production happening to make sure that young British players are getting opportunities in the British game. But they've also got to be good enough to be playing at whatever level it is required.